what is huge as you really study the issues, all these issues that are brought up, but you'll see, and discrimination is a huge issue. It always has been. We kind of think of discrimination, kind of going back to the slavery idea, and then we have the so-called black people and white people in America, which this discrimination still exists. But it has really been created through the religious and political systems that are the control factor of this world here. Again, when you look at the American Indians as an example, just using them, and there's many indigenous people that were the same, and yes, they did have their situations, of course, but they didn't have governments, they didn't have any of these things, and they didn't create the ideas of discrimination. These things have been created, like the AIDS virus and Ebola and all these things. These are actually patents with the U.S. government. Very, very real. And even when people know that, they're still like, duh. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, well, we have to deal with it. We have to do this or whatever. They're not paying attention to the main factor of each event. It's just really simply pay attention and see what's taking place from there. And still, I talk to people that I know here and anywhere most of the time about the chemtrails. They think it's conspiracy theory. They think it's jet trails. They have no idea what's going on. They can think whatever they want. People use their thinking, their computer minds, and they don't use their real awareness. They don't know what their real awareness is because they've been taught to be machines. Even though they think that they're free thinkers, they're not. It's all censored thought. It's all controlled for the most part. And so until they do that, and here's an individual as one example that did, and, like the Indians, they did too. They worked with nature. When you work with the natural flow of things, the natural environment on all levels, you're working with your real awareness. And yes, we do have the mechanics of this world, but the mechanics only seem to make sense if they create a benefit and not a hazard. But the whole world now is a hazard. Everything is poisoned, radiated, polluted, poisoned, and, contaminated. Does that make sense? It's nuts. In the last 200 years, what's going on, and people are still not waking up. It's like it doesn't matter how much is going on, but discrimination is still huge. And that's purposely perpetuated by the controllers because it keeps people confused and off the real issues of being controlled. And most people don't see this. So they think that, they go to school and they're getting their great education, but they don't realize they're all being robotized, militarized into a system to where eventually they're going to be building bombs, or they're going to be associated with some department that's building bombs to continue the takeovers in the world. And this is one of the issues right now I see on the political platforms is the education. What they do is they deceptively use these ideas to promote, these happy little times for people, because education is huge in this world, and they look to the young people, just like Hitler did with the Hitler Youth. He had kids out there, 8 and 10 years old, with guns and machine guns killing people, because he looked to the Hitler Youth and he brainwashed them. He got them to agree, very, very simply, to where they even destroyed their own parents. I mean, this is the world. Do people really want to live in this world like this? This is a huge crossroads here, and we're beyond that. And it sounds really scary, and it's like, it's a doomsday thing, but it's not that things are happening on their own, which people think, like the AIDS and the Ebola and the discrimination, whatever. These things are through a matter of choice. Each person is making the choice to agree with these events, and this is how they become so. They don't just mysteriously fall from outer space, like many people think. Where did I get my cancer, my diabetes? Well, it's, mainly from your diet or your attitude, etc., or who you're associating with or what you're doing. Everything is cause and effect, and it's simply making sense of life and waking up to what it really is, and not these ideas that have been promoted. But again, if people want to continue on with these ideas, go for it. Realistically, the new wave or the new presentation is only going to reach so many people Because most people want to be controlled. That's just how it is. Most people want the big babysitters. They don't want to, become aware. I won't say think for themselves. That's very limiting, actually. They don't want to become more aware, because then they have to take on the responsibility of themselves, and they don't want to do that. So they want to pretend that the government will take care of things, and if there's pollution or if there's Fukushima or chemtrails, that the government will take care of it. Well, it's the government that's actually doing it. So if you think they're going to take care of it, good luck, because you're just simply going to be carted off to the FEMA camps like everybody else. And they're going to tell you that, you're going to be safe in this cage. That's what they basically tell the chickens and the pigs and the cows, that, you're going to be safe here until the next step. And I don't even have to say what that is, because first is the cage, and then what comes after that. And then the next step is that you're in this pretty package in the market. Very, very real. This is how the world is. That's called human farming. And it's been so since the longest time, since these reptilians have taken over, which is actually the beginning. So there's a real history here. But again, most people think this is science fiction. Well, you're living the science fiction. As we stand in a position, a time zone of, say, like the Indian days, they didn't conceive of a cell phone. Now we're in that same position, standing on the same land, on the same planet, and now we have cell phones, radiation, the planet is poisoned. See how fast it has come about? A snap of a finger, it's 200 years later. What's it going to be in the coming years? Not good. And here comes the chip into and I see this, I see the commercials like, this is the greatest thing. Put this chip in your arm, and then you can, have access to all these controlled situations that are actually out of your control. I would say go with your real awareness, but if people want to decide to go with the machines and become part machine, that's their choice. Kind of like the Terminator dude. Yeah, he was cool in the movies, but do you want to be living that? Do you want to be living these scary things? Many people may think what I'm saying is scary, but actually what is happening on the world is scary. We're just simply trying to show people how to become more aware and give them a heads up as to what is taking place, but people keep walking down the line, getting in line and agreeing with all of this. It's their choice. And discrimination is huge. Discrimination is purposely perpetuated constantly in this world to I'm stuttering here, to create confusion. And so it's learning to see behind the scenes. So the fellow that you're talking about, fortunately, there's a lot of people like that, and more people are waking up all the time and seeing what's taking place. The first awakening, I would say, the first part of waking up is seeing what's taking place on the planet. But you need the key ingredient, which is your real awareness, to oversee everything, so that you can surpass the psychic realm, so you can surpass this one-dimensional area. Just knowing what is taking place on the planet alone is not enough. That's just the first step. You must learn to see beyond this one-dimensional area, even though it is a three-dimensional projection. It's a hologram is what it is. It's a world of appearances that we've created. But again, we're just providing the opportunity. We're not here to convince anybody, because not everybody is ready. Again, it's taking on the responsibility of seeing what's really taking place for yourself. But not everybody is ready to do that. They want the big babysitters. They want their presidents and their governments and their masters and gurus to tell them what to do, the pretty words of wisdom, which, that's a start, that's a step, kind of like reading kids the ABCs. But there's a much bigger adventure that's a lot better. But it's a personal decision that each person makes,